What's up, nerds and nerdettes who be the nerdlings are? It's your buddy Big Johnny G from Two Gun Pixie presents Legendary Gaming! Yes! Oh, I'm more excited than normal. I mean, I'm normally excited for gaming, but we're getting closer and closer to Halloween, and whoa, the two of them are starting to boil over inside me. And I've been thinking more and more about games, tabletop adventures, around the whole Halloween time. And it occurred to me that the games are good enough, aren't they? Sure, you play some good games, I play some good games, might not always agree on them, but we know what games we can have fun with. But what about stepping it up a notch? You know, how about nailing the atmosphere of a horror board game? You know, it's more than just putting it down on the table and rolling the dice and putting out some cards. No, it's a lot more than that, you know? And the first thing that comes to mind is, oh, you can lower the lights. Realistically, it's probably not going to work. You know, you got to read cards or read the symbols on the dice after you roll them. So the darker you make it, it might not work out that well. And dress the place up like you would for the Halloween, that's definitely going to help, sure. But what if you want to take it that further step? What if you want to immerse another sense? You hear what I say? You hear me? Well, I mean, every game we play can't be from Flying Frog. You know, they supply some very interesting, some very good soundtracks, some eerie soundtracks to their darker board games like Shadows Over Brimstone and Last Night on Earth. So if they're like pretty much the only company I know that does this, what are you going to do? Well, you could use their soundtracks, sure. But what if you don't own the game? Well, that's not the only soundtrack. In fact, Hollywood has been giving us great soundtracks ever since there's been sound. Ever since the talkies, right? So why don't we just use what we already have? And it also brings an air of familiarity, too, because you recognize the songs. You know the songs. Even if you don't know you know them, you've seen the movies. So the keys that are being struck, they're all in your mind, even if it's your subconscious. So it brings another little level to it. Now, I'm not just talking the theme to Halloween. I don't even think that one's got to be put on the list, tell you the truth. Well, I can't even do it justice. It's all piano, I can't do it justice. I'm not just talking that, but the guy that wrote that, John Carpenter, that director has a knack for nailing the sound of horror. So we're going to take a look at a few movies that he did that have awesome soundtracks. That would be great background music, subtly played during your Halloween board game. So let's go down the table. And here we are. Well, we're not exactly down at the table. We're at the bench. For the other midday monologue that I wanted to do today. Not the other one. Did I say the other one? Why did I say the other one? You know why? Because I started this, I had to stop and then restart, because that's the kind of day it's been. So in my head, it kind of feels like I've done this already. But I haven't. Entirely. Totally. But anyway, we're not here to talk about what I remember doing and what I don't remember doing, are we? I don't remember. No, we're here to talk about nailing atmosphere. And I think that for these horror games, you know, you're gonna be at a party, you're gonna be throwing a little gaming party maybe, or throwing down some games for a Halloween. You're gonna want the atmosphere right. And like I was saying, you can't rely on lighting to do that, because a lot of times you're gonna need to read things, you're gonna be able to see images, and with low to no lighting, yeah, it's gonna be creepy, but it ain't gonna work out for you. Music, that's the way to go. You want some good atmosphere without ruining the lighting that you're gonna need for playing a game, and it's Halloween? Music, my friends, music. Now, there's a lot of music you can download where it's, it's all just very atmospheric music, and that'll work. I've done it. Go ahead, try it. But, if you're looking for something a little bit more specific, if you're looking for something that captures more of the feel that you're going for, there's one man I know of who pretty much everything he touches musically will fit the category of horror you're looking for. there's one person that really, as I said, nails it. And that's John Carpenter. Nails it. Get it? So John Carpenter's most well known for being a movie director. He has directed some of the greatest horror films I have ever seen. He has created a plethora of movies that to this day people still talk about. More than 20 years after they were made, and I'm sure another 20, 25 years from now, they'll still be talking about some of his movies. But besides being a movie director, he scores his own movies. Well, almost all of the movies he's done, he's scored. Not every single one of them, but almost all of them he's scored. And you wouldn't think that. I mean, this guy, he makes these great movies, some of the greatest horror films ever made, and he scores some of the greatest music for these movies ever made. What a double threat. Threatening. October, Halloween. Get it? I'm still on top of it. No, seriously though, he does. John Carpenter really does nail it when it comes to horror music. And I wanted to point out 3 soundtracks of his that I think are perfect for background music for playing horror games. I wanted to make sure I didn't get any of the information wrong. Because, you know, sometimes when I babble off the top of my head, I get things wrong. Even things I know, I sometimes get wrong. So this time, I wanted to make sure I got my notes so I could tell you about this guy. Because his music, if you're not familiar with John Carpenter's movies, then I doubt you're familiar with his music. And that's just really sad, because his music is more atmospheric than most horror movies that I've seen and heard, you know? So, and this is in no particular order, just the order they got written down in. I think it was like pop, pop, pop in my head is how it came out. So don't look into the order of this. That's meaningless right now. Like I said, it's just how it flowed out of me, all right? So the first of the 3 soundtracks that I think are excellent background music for any horror game you're playing, much less on Halloween, goes to Prince of Darkness. This movie came out in 1987, and I remember being at the movie theaters to see it. I was psyched for 2 reasons. 1, because it's a John Carpenter film, but 2, because Alice Cooper was in it. Little cameo, but I love the Coop. I really do. So that made the movie even more endearing to me, his crazy homeless man character. Now, the movie itself is about an ancient sect of monks, Christian monks, that have been hiding away the imprisoned Satan, the devil, this whole time. And the devil's been working at it a long time to get out, and he's finally, after millennia, started to get cracks in his container. And those cracks are seeping out evilness all around him, causing the environment and the people anywhere near this place to go a little bonkers, go a little evil bonkers. And it revolves around a team of paranormal investigators, parapsychologists, that come in to investigate the phenomena and see if they can halt it, stop it. In a nutshell, that's the movie. The soundtrack to this movie is a dark, punk, gothy sound that's not overbearing. I didn't find it to be overbearing at all. It worked perfectly. The theme of this movie, the musical style, just bled through. That's the best way I can put it, because like everything else in this movie, it was just bleeding through the atmosphere. It was leaving its mark on you subconsciously. While you were watching, you didn't even realize how this was being affected. John Carpenter's a master of doing that with the music. And in particular, I wanted to point out two tracks that, although all 3 of these albums, they're all great, from beginning to end, perfect background. But just to point out a couple of tracks in particular, the title and end credit scene, nice, creepy sounds, man. You're gonna like that. It's gonna be very, very fitting. And the other one is a track, Bug Man. This is gonna get under your skin. Pun intended and not intended, both at the same time. All the tracks and all of these soundtracks are perfect, but I'm going to be pointing out a couple in each of them, and you know, these were the ones for this. When you get to those, you're going to know it. You are going to know it. Now, the second one I wanted to point out, In the Mouth of Madness. Now, this is John Carpenter's love letter to H.P. Lovecraft. I am a huge fan of the mythos written by any of them, but particularly, well, I think the two greatest masters of the mythos tale, H.P. Lovecraft and Robert E. Howard. This is a love letter. This is a love letter to the mythos and to all the writers and creators of the mythos. I have seen every movie based on H.P. Lovecraft's work, and with the exception of the silent film Call of Cthulhu, they all suck. I'm going to be very blunt about it. They all suck. In the Mouth of Madness, which isn't based on any story of Lovecraft's or Howard's or Derleth's or any of theirs. It's its own creation, and it is the perfect homage to the mythos. It really is. And the soundtrack delivers exactly what you would expect from a Lovecraftian tale. It weaves itself in and out, stitching the flesh of the movie to the music. Getting a little loud back there. I thought I'd just take a second and let that truck pass. Now, the two songs that I found to be two of the more eerie ones in this soundtrack, Hobbs End. Beautiful, beautiful little town of Hobbs End. Nothing could possibly be going wrong there. Oh, you think it's a beautiful little town until you look under the covers, so to speak. The darkness is everywhere. It's in all the corners, scurrying like rats and roaches. Yeah, you don't see it when you first look, but it's there, and it's in the music. You can feel that in the music. The other one, The Old Ones Return. And this is where it ramps up a bit, because this is that part of the movie where, without giving anything away in case you haven't seen it, this is the part of the movie where it looks like evil's gonna win, that the good will lose. The antagonist will be triumphant. So you know the music is ramping up. And when you ramp up this dark, almost friendly music at times, but any moment you think that, oh, that's okay, some chord strikes and it hits a subconscious note in you that causes some of the fear to rise in the hair on the back of your neck. It is, I think, the most fitting song of the entire soundtrack, actually. So you're going to want to check that one out. Now, the third one actually wasn't scored, or at least scored entirely by Lovecraft. See, I'm thinking Lovecraft. It wasn't scored entirely by Carpenter. It was, let me get the name right, Ennio Morricone. Ennio Morricone. I'm trying. He actually did most of it, but the musical score was directed by Carpenter, so it sounded what he wanted it to sound. And he trusted Ennio, and I think he was darn right in trusting Ennio. The Thing. John Carpenter's The Thing. That came out in 1982. Oh, by the way, Mouth of Madness came out in 1994. The Thing came out in 1982. This movie, I'm not going to say it scarred me. It marked me. It definitely marked me. This movie, more than maybe anything else, is what solidified the fact that I liked horror films. And more than just the cheesy ones from the 60s I was so used to watching. You know, the Hammer Studio films, which are awesome. This really nailed it, because this took it to another level. With the special effects, with the music, the cast was so perfect. Yeah, this worked on so many levels, on every level, and levels you didn't even know were there. Now, this is different than his Prince of Darkness and Mouth of Madness soundtrack. Even though it's horror music, it's creepy music, it is different. This is like a musical dissection of pure paranoia. Is what you could call the musical track to The Thing. Because the movie The Thing is about the unknown in the most truest sense. You don't know who's really your friend. And I don't mean friend like, oh, you're going to come over and hang out. You know, I mean friend like not going to kill you. Not going to kill you and then use your genetic code to make another thing like itself that will eventually repopulate the entire Earth. Because they can look any way they want. They have control. I'm saying it's like a virus, has control over every cell of its body. So it can make itself look like anything. When really, it's not anything. It's just a thing. And the music is so fitting to that. And the fact that the entire movie takes place, the scenes all take place in the Antarctic. So you have not only that icy coldness, but you have that pure white, which is amazing contrast. Because when you think of horror films, you usually don't think of brightness, you think of darkness. And John Carpenter just turned this on its ear. And you can even hear that, you can feel that in the music itself. It's going to be a great addition for background atmosphere, any horror games that you're going to play. So those 3 soundtracks by John Carpenter, you should have on hand for any Halloween. You should have on hand whenever you're going to play horror games. I'm telling you, you're going to notice the subtle difference. So once again, the John Carpenter film soundtracks that I think are beautifully perfect for Halloween and Halloween gaming. Prince of Darkness came out in 1987. Mouth of Madness, In the Mouth of Madness, came out in 1994. And then in 1982, The Thing. Yeah. So you gotta check those out. All right, ghouls and ghoulettes and little ghoulings all. Thank you everyone. Thank you for checking us out on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, and thank you so much for subscribing to Two Gun Pixie here on YouTube. Thank you for liking and commenting, and the greatest compliment you can give us is when you share our videos. I'm your buddy Big Johnny G. Two Gun Pixie presents Legendary Gaming, and I am out of here.